Welcome to our third of our Christmas devotions for 2020. Our reading for today is from the book of Isaiah, chapter 11, verse 1 through to 10. Isaiah writes, "A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and of might, the Spirit of the knowledge and fear of the Lord. And he will delight in the fear of the Lord. He will not judge by what he sees with his eyes or decide by what he hears with his ears. But with righteousness he will judge the needy. With justice he will give decisions for the poor of the earth. He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. With the breath of his lips he will slay the wicked. Righteousness will be his belt, and faithfulness the sash around his waist. The wolf will live with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the goat. The calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a child will lead them. The cow will feed with the bear. Their young will lie down together. The lion will eat straw like the ox. The infant will play near the cobra's den, and the young child will put his hand into the viper's nest. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. In that day, the root of Jesse will stand as a banner for the peoples. The nations will rally to him, and his resting place will be glorious." Amen. This passage makes me think of a series of paintings by the American artist Edward Hicks, who lived in the late 18th, early 19th century. He created throughout his artistic life a series of paintings, all different, but all called The Peaceable Kingdom. No one knows how many he actually painted, but there are 62 of them, still either in private collections or in various US art galleries. Now, I've not seen any of these paintings in the flesh, as it were, but perhaps unsurprisingly for many of you, I came across one version of it, perhaps the best known version of the painting, on the cover of a book. This version is in the collection of the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. I'm drawn to this painting because Hick captures for us visually much of Isaiah's prophecy in the early part of chapter 11, especially verses 6 to 9. You can see a wolf just above the lamb, a pair of leopards beside a pair of goats. The leopard, moreover, is having its nose patted by a child to emphasize its docility. The calf lies calmly at the feet of an impressive-looking lion, and an equally impressive-looking cow is feeding with a young bear cub lying at its feet. It's hard to see, but if you look closely, there's an ear of straw coming out of the lion's mouth, which captures the words of verse 7. The lion will eat straw like the ox. So what are Isaiah and Hicks trying to say to us, and what does this have to do with Christmas? In Hicks' painting, if we concentrate on the foreground, rather than the background where we see William Penn peaceably negotiating with the indigenous leaders, we see children. This is because Isaiah and Hicks' description of what God is going to do, of peace, are dependent upon a child, upon the Christ child that we celebrate at Christmas. We know from Isaiah 9 that the one who comes to save us, Jesus, will be called the Prince of Peace. And here in chapter 11 and in Hicks' painting, we see that this has real life consequences. The peace which Jesus brings is not merely an inward serenity of heart, but it manifests itself externally in a change in relations that overflows and changes the world around us. Christmas can be a time that puts stress on relationships, good relationships, and it can be a time when peace seems scarce and disharmony flourishes. Many people have observed that the stresses that we're all feeling from the strangeness of life in a pandemic amplifies things. It can amplify our fears, our misunderstandings, disharmony, and old wounds. And yet it can also amplify that which is good. So let's press into God this season and see peace being amplified. Let's choose to embrace and follow this child of peace, that our house would be a house of peace. Let's be led by this child, the Prince of Peace, and gather under his banner, which is a banner of love, that we would know the peaceableness of his kingdom this Christmas season. Amen.